All right, last one from @PuddlesDog. Say we make it to the Pac-12 championship again. Who's our biggest threat from the Pac-12 South? Would USC or Arizona State offer the tougher challenge? Hashtag odds and audibles. Those two schools, I think, naturally are where most people's heads go, based upon, I think, the rosters, the way they've recruited. I think quarterback in particular. You think about the two quarterbacks at those two schools, younger guys who've had, I think, quite a bit of success right away. Played as freshmen in 2019, 2020, held the jobs down. ASU had kind of the season from hell, so it's sort of hard to read exactly where they're at. They had more COVID issues than basically anyone in the entire country, but I still like those two teams probably as the two challenge Oregon. Am I crazy, Matt, for the third team, the dark horse team, kind of feeling like UCLA? Or am I just falling into this thing where every year I think Chip Kelly's going to figure it out, and then ultimately it's 2025 and he's never figured it out and he's fired?
UCLA certainly feels like every year towards the end of the season that they are turning that corner. It's like, okay, they figured it out, and then next year is going to be a year where they make that turn. But unfortunately, like I think they upset USC in 2018 to end the year to go 3-9. You're like, okay, they've got the momentum. Now 2019 is gonna be that year where they get to a bowl game, and they went 4-8. And then this past year, it was kind of the same deal. Like they played Oregon incredibly tough, and
probably should have won that game.
And they had a couple other games down the stretch of the year where you're like, this team's gonna turn the corner, and then all of a sudden they don't. And then they finished 3-4, and they lost their last two games. Like they were 3-2 to open the year, and then they lost their last two at USC by 5, a game that they probably should have won, and then at Stanford, another one that they probably should have won. They went for 2, I think, and they didn't get it, and they lost 48-47. So like they're right on the brink, but are they talented enough to win the league or to win the division though, Eric? Like, I don't know. I mean, USC is where elite talent goes to just get wasted. So like I every year it's always, hey, USC's got the best talent. USC is going to be this team that's going to be completely loaded, and boy, watch out, here we come, USC. But then at the same time, I'm like, yeah, but every year they have like 2 or 3 games where they're just awful, and it's a pure blunder of a wasted opportunity. But Arizona State's going to be a good pick. I think every one of their seniors from last year's team came back, which is just,
I saw that stat. What the heck? How does that happen?
That's crazy. Like they will be a lot better in 2021 than they were in 2020. But I mean, UCLA is middle of the road in the conference from a talent perspective. They have the 6th most talented roster going into the 2020 year, and I imagine Chip's going to have a little bit more talent coming in based on the recruiting class that they had. So USC, Arizona State, we haven't even talked about Utah.
Well, or Colorado. Colorado almost won the division, and they bring back all their guys.
Yeah. That's a good point too. I mean, is the South the best division in the conference, top to bottom?
It's the deepest. Yeah. Arizona's the worst team by a mile, I think, in the Pac-12 this year. But I think 1 through 5 in the Pac-12 South is much deeper than 1 through 5 in the Pac-12 North.
Would you argue that Colorado, Utah, and UCLA are going to be bowl eligible teams? Because I think we think USC and ASU will.
I could see 5 from the Pac-12 South getting to 6 wins. I don't think that's crazy, because I think they're probably going to beat up on each other, and the winner is probably going to win 7 out of 9 games or something like that. I think that's actually, I hadn't really thought about that, the division by division very much. I think the Pac-12 South is pretty good. Like, I mean, there are no terrible teams besides Arizona. Like, Arizona is going to be awful. I'm already saying that, but like you mentioned Utah, and I was like, wait, Colorado has actually almost won the division. They had the Pac-12 Offensive Player of the Year last year. Like, we haven't even brought them up.
I don't like. There's not a team though that scares me. Like even USC, they don't. And the reason why USC doesn't scare me is because I just don't think Clay Helton is a very good head coach, and I think every year there's some kind of drama, And that's not Clay Helton related. That's USC related. It carries over from head coach to head coach. So, but every year there's some kind of drama that goes on with the Trojans, some kind of issue that's blows up in their face that they could have prevented, and it kind of covers the entire year. And I think Oregon is a significantly better run program than USC is, and I think their staff is just better than USC staff considerably. So I'm not really worried about USC. Like, obviously you respect the talent that they have, and if they play up to their talent, they're really damn good. But how frequently do they do that? It's not very often. Arizona State, they're like the younger brother where that's kind of grown up. You're not quite sure what you're going to get. Like, is it the younger brother that you just beat up on, or is it going to be the guy that's now 24 years old and you guys play a one-on-one basketball game and he's quicker than you, he's more athletic than you, he's in better shape than you are, and he just blows by you. That's how I look at ASU. Is sometimes they just play really bad, and other times you're like, whoa, they could be. Why don't you guys do this every time? You're really good.
Matt, how is Arizona State the exact same team in football and men's basketball?
Yes.
It's the same, right? Isn't that the conversation we have about men's basketball too? Of like, when they're playing well, they're really tough. And then it's like, then there's games where they shoot 38 threes and make 8 of them and they lose by 20, you know?
Yeah. And that is right. Their football and basketball teams are the
exact same thing.
Which would be just mind numbing if I was a Sun Devil fan.
Yeah. Same problem every sport.
And then UCLA, like, I don't know, like it's Chip, but at the same time, Chip's like offense isn't anything close to what they hired him for. They hired him to be the Oregon version of Chip Kelly, but down at UCLA, and they're not like that. I think I would just go with consistency and say, like, Utah over the last 4 or 5 years has been the most consistent program in the Pac-12 South, and that would probably be the team that would scare me the most if I was Oregon, because I don't have their roster in front of me. I couldn't tell you one guy that starts along their defensive line, but I know they're going to have 2 all-conference D linemen, and they'll probably have one or 2 all-conference linebackers. Like, that's just standard for them.
Well, I was sitting here trying to be like, how am I going to rank the Pac-12 South? And I realized somehow I had Utah 5th, and I was like, that can't be. Like, no. Literally, that just won't happen. Utah's never going to finish worse than like 3rd in the South, I think. Like, and maybe they, and that's, I'm sure they will, but like, they are consistently going to at least be really competitive with Kyle Whittingham as the coach. And I'm with you. I don't know what their team looks like, but like, I'm still buying, like, they'll be really competitive by the end of the year.
So the last time they finished 5th in the division was in 2017 when they went 7-6, 3-6 in conference play. But I'm trying to find another one where
they're just consistently not bad.
So since 2014, they've finished 5th twice, but they've also been 1st in 2015. They were 3rd in the division in 2016. They won 9 games. 2017, they finished 5th. 2018, they won the division at 9-5. 2019, they won the division at 11-3. And then in 2020, they finished 3rd in the division at 3-2. Like, they're always basically a top 3 team in the division. And so I'm with you. Like, until they go like back to back, I'm not picking them to finish worse than 3rd in the conference, in the division.
They also are their men's basketball equivalent, at least the way it was under Larry Krystkowiak for a minute there, where it was like they never were probably going to win the league, but they were always going to finish like 3rd through 6th.
Yeah.
And that's probably not a total fair comparison, because Utah has shown they can win the football. Like, they can compete with the big boys in football, but they're never really bad. I think that's the thing that stands out with the men's in football. If we're just going to make that comparison among South teams, which apparently is what I'm doing during this podcast, like, I just think it's kind of interesting thinking like, yeah, Utah's like never going to win the conference maybe, but they're always going to be right there. And they're never going to get like they're never going to be like the 10th through 12th team.
So I've convinced myself the team to worry about the most is Utah.
Okay.
I'm going to count on USC being traditional USC and imploding from within and not living up to expectations. and Arizona State being too inconsistent.
So we're going Utah, USC, Arizona State, UCLA, Colorado, Arizona. That's our Pac-12 South hierarchy.
Right
it's
now.
official. Put it in the books. It's middle of May. This is how it's going to go down.
Don't even play the season. It's pointless.
Yeah, we got it. That's our That's an Audibles podcast. Told you what's happening.